have dialed
Victims of cycles, victims of life, victims of wrong and victims of right, victims of everything and the above, victims of hate. This is a picture of card number 15 from the tarot deck, which represents the devil. Now, this is not exactly what you think it is, in the sense that we have all of these concepts of what the devil is, where it is, or if it is. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to read you the definition that comes with the tarot deck, the book, because it's relevant and it brings a lot of understanding. One might think that the definition would be, some horrible being that sits, and can't wait to get you, my pretty. But that is not what it says. The number one definition would be consequences for your choices. And of course, all the hallmarks of the devil are also in the definition: self-centered interests, temptations, consequences, choices, addiction, codependence, lust, wanton abandon, manipulation. But it also has some other meanings as well. And if you'll take a good look at this card, look at these two people. They're all there, all snuggled up with the little old devil. But if you take a very good look at their chains, they're incredibly loose. They can simply slip them over their neck. And actually one of the links is broken. And it's almost as if they have to stay in perfect position just to keep the chains on. Which can lead us to the revelation of the possibility of what the devil really represents. It represents slavery and abolishment of your self-identity, our denial, our self-lies, false fear, and self-doubt. But if these chains are loose hanging around our necks, then just who exactly are we slaves to? As you can see in the image, the devil isn't holding anybody back. It's just sitting there. You see, because the devil doesn't lift a finger to enslave you. You do it for it. Cultures all across the world teach us that the devil is something that is outside of us. And factually, there is zero evidence that any such thing exists. What we do have evidence for is humans committing atrocities upon one another. So if this entity does exist, then you're its scapegoat, because you're the one doing its work. How dare you, you say? I do not do the work of the devil. I am a good human being. I give to charity. I do this. I do that. I am this. I am that. And none of those things are the devil. And you may be kind. And you may be a saint. And you may take actions that do not harm any other individual. But for the majority of us, that is not the case. Now, we may not physically harm someone. We may not deliberately intend to hurt anyone. But the truth is that hurt people hurt people. And we are all hurt people. Simply by drawing breath and being born, you are born into a system of hurt people. Our parents were disasters because their parents were disasters because their parents were disasters. Do you get where I'm going? Just by being indoctrinated by our culture, we are born damaged. Not our fault. We didn't ask for this, but that doesn't matter. We have to take responsibility for this. And we take responsibility through our awareness. Our awareness that we live in repetitive cycles of negative thinking and negative doing. And our culture happily perpetuates this. How or why may really not be the issue here. The truth is, we have a society that perpetuates lust, greed, hate, violence, fear, because they sell. And sadly, we buy. And why? Because we vibrate on that level collectively. Because we hold all of the collective wounding that has been passed down to us as our culture. which at this point in our collective history has become a psychotic monster. So basically, we're born with the devil having us in a headlock. But the good news is that it can't keep you there. And this is much easier than you might think, because it doesn't care if you're there or not. It knows it can't stop you from leaving. It's just gambling that you're not going to be willing to do the work. Gambling that you are not going to be responsible for your actions. Gambling that you're going to be too broken, too wounded to get off your knees. And also gambling that you will not get the message that it is simply your awareness that can change your slavery. So, what is it that I mean when I say that the devil doesn't have to lift a finger to keep you in slavery? You're doing it yourself. It's easy enough to tell if you're doing the devil's work in physicality, if you're a violent person, if you actually have intentions of doing harm. That is true evil. And the margin of people that are capable and do such things intentionally is small. But I would like to say that we are at a crisis point where this number, this margin, will be growing larger and larger due to the deterioration and just blatant degradation of our social structure that we are witnessing right now in the year 2024. But I think at the moment, most people want to be good. We do want to love. We do want to be happy. But wanting and being are two different things. And this is where we get caught, becoming slaves to the subtle underlying current of what the devil is. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about your fear. Because everything that we do, feel, and think, when we do not have awareness of the damage we have suffered just from being part of the culture that we are in, is your fear. And we fear pain. And to protect ourselves from pain, we do a myriad of things that damage us and other people. Now, we may not have an intent to do damage to someone else, but when you are acting in fear, you will hurt other people. Hurt people hurt people. So what is the devil really? It's the lengths that we will go to not experience pain. But we don't understand that it's self-sabotage. Because we don't understand that we are the only things that are holding our face down on the mat, pinning ourselves. We assume that by avoiding positions that might cause us pain, we won't be in pain. But that's not true. All we have done is avoided living. And that's how the devil wins. Every second that you live in fear, self-doubt, self-judgment is a second of our life that we lose. And we give it to the devil, who has done nothing to earn it and doesn't have to, because we allow it, because we hold ourselves back with our fear of whatever it is, rejection. That's probably our biggest criminal. Thing is that if we never try, because we are so afraid to expose ourselves or to be vulnerable to someone else, then we sentence ourselves to living a life of abject spiritual, emotional poverty, which is right where the devil wants you. The thing is that our fear isn't protecting us from anything. It doesn't protect us from pain, because being alone or living in a state of deprivation because we're afraid to experience things is painful. Have we done any good for ourselves at all? No. And we give every moment that we choose to live in that state to the devil to live it for us. Life is painful because we live with a group of people, our culture, who are all dealing with trauma and the experience that we have had in our life of being rejected or having issues with other people judging us, things like this. They put us into a state of mental victimhood, and we are all victims of life. We don't have to stay in that victimhood. Doing the work that the devil is gambling, that you won't have the courage or the strength to do, is the key here. And what does that mean? You face your fear. And what is our fear? It is pain. Do you have the courage to face your pain, to face all of the things that you think you were victimized by? And how do we face it? You let yourself feel it. Emotional pain never caused anyone to drop dead physically, but it will certainly take your life. When we live in fear, we are dead already. So you really have nothing to lose by facing it, healing it, working through it. Experience the pain. Let it come and then be done with it. Let it go. Once you walk through that pain, there can be no more fear. The fear will dissipate because you realize that you didn't drop dead. You may feel like you're dropping dead, but you're not going to drop dead. You will actually come out on the other side in a much better position for taking back your life, taking back your love, getting off your knees and walking away from the devil.
Devil inside, every single one of us, the devil inside.